Now, what is up, guys? Now, if you guys, well, you definitely have if you clicked on this video, you've seen all the drama with Riley Gaines and Simone, right? That back and forth on X, which you've probably already seen it, but she went on an interview with Stephen A. Smith. I'm just interested to see what's talked about here. You know, I'm interested to see what Stephen A. Smith says, because you don't know with Stephen A. Smith, it's a bit, it's 50-50. He might give you a good take, he might not. You don't really know. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. And for more videos like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel.
NCAA All-American swimmer turned conservative pundit who now hosts the Gains for Girls podcast on Outkick.com that focuses on current events, social issues, and topics related to women's rights and gender equity. Please welcome to the Stephen A. Smith Show, Miss Riley Gaines. Riley, how are you? How's everything?
I am fantastic. Super excited to be on with you today. So thanks for the opportunity.
Please, my pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Let me give the audience some background on the story. Last week, a transgender softball pitcher in Minnesota named Marissa Rothenberger led Champlain Park High School to a state championship. This athlete's participation in the girls' softball season was in defiance of President Donald Trump's executive order of keeping biological men out of women's sports. The high school league removed comments from a post showing the winners of a softball state championship. So I know you reacted to that. I want to know, what was your reaction when you saw all of that? Could you remind our audience of what it was?
Absolutely. Well, this was about 2 weeks ago at this point. Understand that week we saw in 5 different states: California, Washington, Oregon, Maine, and Minnesota, boys take qualifying spots, state championships, or podium spots from deserving girls. This case in Minnesota that you're referring to, this was a boy who pitched 5 games straight, 35 consecutive innings, only allowed 2 runs of those 35 innings. I think he pitched 21 shutout innings. They won the state championship. It was his team's first time ever even making the state tournament. Of course, they went on to win. He led his team in a way that I would describe not very valiantly. Nonetheless, to be very clear, this boy is following the rules that were in place by local leadership, state leadership, of course, at the interscholastic level, but nonetheless, it violated federal law, that federal law being Title IX. So I was quick to call this out, as I have done for years after experiencing personally the effects of competing against a man. So that's a little backstory here. The issue is still happening. It continues to persist with full steam ahead and no signs of slowing down.
And how long have you maintained, or I don't want to say this is new to you, because like you said, you've been speaking on this for quite some time. I'm assuming when you talked about having personally experienced competing against a man as a swimmer, I'm assuming you're alluding to Leah Thomas. I want you to talk about the origins of your feelings and how outspoken you have been about this particular issue in the past.
Yeah, I'll give you the 30,000-foot overview. Swam at University of Kentucky, did some great things in my career. 12-time All-American, 5-time SEC champion, the SEC record holder in the 200 butterfly, making me one of the fastest Americans of all time, 2-time Olympic trial qualifier. The list goes on. But really, just to reiterate, it's a lifelong journey to be able to compete and succeed really at the highest level. Senior year NCAAs, we're geared up, we're ready to go. This is the meet you work all year, really all your life for. Championship final of the women's 200 freestyle, meaning top 8 women in the entire country. And I look over at the lane, a couple lanes over from me, and there's a 6'4" man standing there. His size 15 feet, taking up the entire diving block. Visible from his side profile is not only his Adam's apple, but to be pretty explicit here, and again, just describing what we saw, the bulge in his women's swimsuit. I recognize this to be wrong, as did 99% of athletes on that pool deck, but everyone was terrified to say it. Jumped in the water. We swam 8 laps of freestyle, touched the wall at the end, and almost impossibly enough, Stephen, we went the exact same time, meaning tied down to the 100th of a second, which is really rare in our sport. We get out of the water. We go behind the awards podium where the NCAA official looks at both Thomas and myself, Thomas towering over me, 8-9 inches taller than me. And the official says, "Great job, you two, but you tied. We don't account for ties. We only have one trophy, and we're going to give that trophy to Leah."
Wow.
And when I asked the dreaded question of why, the question that they weren't prepared to answer, they weren't given a script of what to say when asked this question. He stumbled on his words, but ultimately was honest and said, "Look, we've been advised as an organization, as the NCAA, that when photos are being taken, it's crucial that the trophy is in Leah's hands." And I'll tell you what, that's when I made my mind up that I would say something. Again, we all recognized it. My coaches, the athletes, athletic directors, the officials at the meet, they all knew it to be wrong, but everyone was terrified to say something. So that was the competition piece on top of the locker room, which is again a totally violating experience. On top of the silencing that we faced, all of those were contributing factors, and ultimately the stance that I've taken a little over 3 years ago at this point.
How much resistance have you experienced since you've taken those stands?
Man, I think back to 2022, where it was certainly not as favorable as it is now to say the controversial thing that men and women are different. Uh, I I mean, I've been in situations where my well being, my safety is at risk. I've been held captive for over 5 hours, 4.5 hours ish, actually, in San Francisco, where a mob of protesters demanded that I had to pay them money if I wanted to make it back home to see my family safely again. I mean, even just a month ago, not even a month ago, in Seattle, I had human feces thrown at me. In Portland, there were about five people arrested for trying to terminate my life. And again, Stephen, like I think my take is just about the least controversial take on the entire planet. It's described as an 80-20 issue. I think it's more drastic than that. I think it's a 90-10 issue, if not even more than that. 90% of Americans, of course, believing that men don't belong in women's sports, but for saying that out loud, publicly, and unapologetically, you're really met with some of the most hostile and oftentimes violent encounters that you could possibly imagine.
Do you know what? Do you know what I wonder? Right, are these people being paid to do this, or is this actual outrage? Like for her to say, "Oh, a man's a man, a woman's a woman," and people, obviously, she said more stuff than that, but that's the main thing she's talking about here is females in sports and this issue, right? For people to go over there and throw feces at her, throw try attack her, I just think, are you being paid to do this? Because how commonly there's actually people out there that are doing this, like again, like she said, it's like a rare thing, and obviously most of the country voted one way for a reason, right? But I can't believe there's people going out there that are, even if someone has an attacking someone for an opinion is insane. For such a simple opinion that is, oh, a man's a man, a woman's a woman, for you to then go try and attack her is insane. Stephen A. Smith's face in that is just the perfect face, because you're realizing, because obviously, he's more of a leftist, and most of the people that do this are leftists, right? So he's realizing what his own party's been doing, because I don't think it happens either way. And I'm obviously, look, I'm not American saying this, right? I'm not one way or the other, but you don't see it the opposite way. It's a certain group of people that when you give an opinion they don't like, they want to get violent. But still, that's insane to me. That's insane. I can't believe people like that actually exist and are actually doing that and don't have better things to do.
Now, see, I'm liberal when it comes to living and let living. Okay, that's my general stance. But when you're talking about women competing in sports against transgender women, men transitioning to women, I side with you 1000%. I have no problem with your position whatsoever, and I'm not scared to say it, and I've never been scared to say it. I think that's absolutely the right thing to do. Women should be competing against women, men should be competing against men, and transgenders should be competing against transgenders. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I don't know why that's controversial. But when you think about what you've been exposed to and what you've had to deal with, it brings us to Simone Biles, which is why this is a subject that we had to tackle, because your stance and your position recently when you spoke about the person from Minnesota that prompted Simone Biles to post this about you. Quote, this is her quote about you. You're truly sick. All of this campaigning because you lost a race. Straight up sore loser. You should be uplifting the trans community and perhaps finding a way to make sports inclusive or creating a new avenue where trans people feel safe in sports. Instead, you bully them. One thing's for sure is no one in sports is safe with you around. End quote. What was your immediate reaction when you saw what Simone Biles had to say about you, the great Olympian that she is, because nobody could question her credentials? And now
Now,
that you've had an opportunity to reflect even further on what she has said, what is your reaction now?
when I first got this notification on my phone, of course, as you just said, Simone, her illustrious career, what she's done for the sport of gymnastics, what she's done for women's sports in general, much broader than gymnastics. I have looked up to her and admired her I mean, I watched her compete in 2016, 2020, 2024, the past 8-ish, I guess 9 years at this point. I've admired Simone Biles. So when I got this notification on my phone that I had been tagged in something on X from Simone, I was like overwhelmed with excitement and starstruck. And I click on it and I read what you just said out loud. And I read it again and again, and I clicked the profile, and then I went back and I clicked the profile again to make sure it was really Simone Biles. This wasn't a fake account, and it really was Simone Biles, and I was heartbroken. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't heartbroken because of the personal attacks, because of her calling me a bully or saying that I'm disgusting or truly sick or whatever she said. It wasn't that hurt my feelings, because I'm a very secure person. I'm secure with myself. I'm secure with the side of history that I'm on. Very happily married for 3+ years. Like, none of those personal attacks bothered me, but what did bother me is knowing the platform that she has and how she was so quick in such a venomous way to sell out young girls like my little sister. My little sister is 16 years old. She's an elite level gymnast. I come from a family of athletes. Like, my dad played professional ball, SEC Hall of Famer. My brother played football in college. Of course,
Is that just mine, or is everyone else hearing that right now? Is that?
I come from a family, and how she was. I'm secure with myself.
Yeah, apologies about that, guys. My headphones started messing up there.
Was Simone Biles, and I was heartbroken. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't heartbroken because of the personal attacks, because of her calling me a bully or saying that I'm because I'm a very secure person. I'm secure with myself. I'm secure with the side of history that I'm on. Very happily married for 3+ years. Like, none of those personal attacks bothered me, but what did bother me is knowing the platform that she has and how she was so quick in such a venomous way to sell out young girls like my little sister. My little sister is 16 years old. She's an elite level gymnast. I come from a family of athletes. Like, my dad played professional ball, SEC Hall of Famer. My brother played football in college. I, of course, went to University of Kentucky. My mom was a Division I softball player. My oldest sister went to Ole Miss. She played softball. My youngest sister is the best athlete out of all of us. She will go on to do incredible things, whatever she does in college and beyond. That's why my heart broke in that moment. Uh, I'm sure you'll continue to read the next tweet that Simone put out, which we can discuss. But in that moment, I was so just disappointed and disheartened to know a woman who has done so much for the sport was so quick to pull up the ladder behind her, is how I would describe it.
In your response to Biles, you brought up Larry Nassar, and that's the only thing that you said where I took issue. I took umbrage with what you said because you brought him up. This is the former national team doctor who sexually abused multiple U.S. gymnasts, including Biles, under the guise of quote unquote medical treatment. You wrote, quote, all the horrific sexual abuse Simone Biles witnessed and spoke out against caused by one man, yet believes women should be forced to strip naked in front of men to validate the man's feelings. You know how many gold medals you'd have if your inclusive dream came true? 0. That was the only thing that I criticized you for because I thought that was really, really below the belt considering how heinous of an individual, how despicable Larry Nassar was and what Simone Biles was subjected to because of that man. Any regrets at all about saying that, bringing up Larry Nassar is what I'm asking.
I stand by what I said 100%, but let me provide a little context.
Okay.
First of all, for clarity, I believe Larry Nassar is a monster and who should spend every single waking second for the rest of his life miserable and rotting away in prison. There's no, me and Simone certainly agree there. Context here for the situation again that my own personal experience that I can speak to. I don't know if you've ever been inside of a locker room, specifically a locker room on a pool deck, right? It's an open space. It's basically like a large square.
Okay.
There is no stalls beyond the stalls that you use the restroom in, but you're not putting your suit on or, of course, showering in those stalls.
Okay.
Does it get more perverted than being in a shower, which is typical for a swimming locker room, especially you're in the chlorine, you get out, you're in the pool 5 times a day, you rinse off. Does it get more perverted than standing in the shower, totally undressed, when a 6'4" man approaches you, stands in the shower head next to you, undresses himself, fully naked, fully intact, and watches you shower? That's the context I was drawing. And to me, that is sexual abuse. What me and my teammates had to go through was certainly sexual abuse. Again, for clarity, I think what Simone, her teammates went through is condemnable and punishable beyond what we face. Again, there's no doubt in my mind there. But to try to normalize this, or in Simone's case, attempt to silence those who speak out about this. That's the conclusion I was drawing here. No girl should have to go through this, whether it is rape, whether it's unwanted touching, whether it's voyeurism, whether it's indecent exposure. And no woman should ever, ever be shamed for pointing out when men are abusing women.
Look, of course, she's right about everything she's saying here. She's right about everything she's saying. The fact that she has to give context, like, I don't know. Like, you guys told me watching this if you disagree with me, but like when she said it, I clearly knew what she was talking about and what she meant. I didn't really need her to clarify anything. She's obviously talking about in the sense of a woman feeling vulnerable, right? That's what she's talking about. That's obviously, I knew that's where she was coming from when she was saying that, right? A woman feeling like, you know, obviously what that guy did was obviously worse, but like in terms of like the situations here, they're not different situations in terms of, you know, what's happening. I mean, in terms of like, how'd I put it? In terms of, you know, a woman being in a vulnerable spot, right? That's what's happening. Obviously, the scale of what happened is obviously worse, but I knew when she said that, I knew straight away what she was talking about. I didn't think she was saying that she went through the same thing she went through, or I don't know why Stephen A. even took issue to that, because it's a similar situation, again, of women feeling vulnerable, and then she was just pointing it out. So I think that was a perfectly reasonable, you know, conclusion. And then the last part of her saying that if your inclusive dream came true, you wouldn't have no medals. It's true. You think she's beaten any man in her categories? No. You're not, and that's what some women fail to understand. Only small, but you're not. I'm sorry, like, men are just better at sports. They're going to be better. If you put the best male athlete and the best female athlete in any sport, a man, he's going to come out on top, unless, I don't know, unless some aliens come down and, I don't know, something crazy happens, I don't know. But the point being, it just doesn't happen, right? So there's nothing really wrong with what she said. You know, I guess you could say it was a little bit harsh, but, you know, if you look what she said, I mean, oh yeah, and another thing, you had no issue with what Simone Gill said, since she looks like a man, calling her a bully. You had no issue with that. That wasn't below the belt, or you had no issue at all, but you had an issue with her pointing out basically just a hard truth. But I don't know.
I found a video of Simone testifying before Congress, this same seat I have found myself in. I've testified before Congress and the Senate many, many times, and I listened to the part of her testimony. I posted a video of it, a little clip of it, where she's, of course, speaking to the abuse, speaking to how horrific, speaking to how no woman should have to go through this again. And our messages sounded the exact same when I sat in that seat. She got emotional in her testimony. I got emotional in my testimony describing this. That's the conclusion I was drawing here. Again, it is easy to condemn Larry Nasser, but I believe it should be just as easy to condemn those who attempt to normalize or think it's not on a scale of gross sexual offense against women and girls to have men undressing and showering next to women.
Riley, I can push back, but I won't even try. And the reason why I won't even try is because you make a very, very valid point. First of all, your personal experiences. Secondly, you're a lady. I am not. And so when you talk about what's offensive to you, one of the things that I have a problem with, particularly with people on Capitol Hill, is when men are trying to tell women how they should feel about their experiences as if they know. It's one thing for you to have an opinion, but it's another thing for you to come across as if you know something it's impossible for you to know. I can never know what Riley Gaines just alluded to other than how you explained it. So I really appreciate.
And sorry to pause again quickly, I'm gonna let it play, but that's literally what like most of these trans males do, right? Just tell women how to
that point, and I thank you for it. I got to ask you this question. Is there a resolution when we think about the whole trans issue in sports? I don't have any problems with anybody from the LGBTQ plus community. Live your life, do what you do. I'm not trying to be invasive in that regard, but when we talk about transgender issues in the world of sports, it seems to me from a societal perspective, we're being a bit hypocritical because we go out of our way to talk about the protection that women.
And I'm so sorry to pause again, guys. I apologize, right? Because I'm going to rewind it, right? So we can talk. But how would he have pushed back on what she said? That's what I'm wondering. He said he could have pushed back. I'm really wondering what argument he really would have made there. I don't. Let me know in the comments below.
Perspective, we're being a bit hypocritical because we go out of our way to talk about the protection that women need in terms of Title IX, fair and equitable treatment under the laws of our land. But somehow, some way, something like this comes up and we forget those very things, which somebody like you essentially was reminding us we have forgotten about that, but you didn't. So that's a testament to you. But when we talk about an equitable solution to the issue of trans athletes, is there a solution that you think exists out there? Because it doesn't seem like there is one.
It's a good point you bring up, and it's something Simone mentioned in her initial tweet, right? Creating a third category almost. I'll tell you, I initially supported this idea. I believe this was a way to prioritize inclusion, but not at the expense of safety, number one, and fairness, number two. But I'll tell you when I changed my mind. Uh, this was done. FINA, the international governing body of swimming, created a third category at the international level, like a very high level of competition for people like Leah Thomas or those who are identified as trans, gender nonconforming, non-binary, whatever it is, a separate category for that. No one competed in it. Actually, Thomas went on to sue uh, World Aquatics for this new rule, ultimately making the point that he doesn't want to compete if he can't trample on women in the process here. Then I began to really think about it. It is antithetical to sports to have a category based on identity. We don't have a category based on identity, any other identity, right? We don't have a category based on race, and we absolutely shouldn't. We don't have a category based on religion, and we absolutely shouldn't. Sports aren't about your feelings. Ultimately, at the end of the day, they're just not. You can make the argument about, of course, pee-wee leagues or 12 and under or whatever division that is. I think especially before puberty, but you reach a certain point, and sports are about winning. It's about success. And I don't know if you saw, even just this afternoon, Simone Biles issued an apology to me.
Okay.
Um, I think it was a bit of damage control personally, but nonetheless, I fully um,
Wow, that is a long tweet. Flipping out. That is a long tweet. Wow.
accepted her apology. But in her apology, she mentions, we need to be striving for inclusivity and competitive equity. The idea of sports inherently are inclusive, Stephen. Anyone can play sports. That's the beauty of sports. That's
That
why
is
I
true.
love them. It's really this unifying experience that, again, I got to be a part of, that I got to benefit from. But on the other hand, competition by definition is exclusive. So the idea of competitive equity is totally nonsensical. I believe the solution is what is at least has been in front of us the past, actually this month, it'll be the past 53 years since Title IX was implemented. You have a men's category and you have a women's category that allows for everyone under the sun to be able to compete.
You know what? That's a compelling argument. I would tell you that when you think about the Paralympics and other things, I mean, you see people with disabilities and what have you competing against people with disabilities. So that's where my idea came from in terms of women, women, men, men, trans, trans. In other words, compete against your own. If you're a man transitioning into being a woman, then compete against other men transitioning into being a woman and vice versa. It shouldn't be you infiltrating women's sports in that way. I've always
I mean, I guess, but I don't want to sound harsh, but like, really, we're really gonna. I mean, is there that many trans people in sports to even create a category like that? Like, is there really that many? I don't know. Let me know. I mean, I'd have to maybe look up the numbers, but in terms of, is there that many to the point where you'd create a separate category? And I'm not saying it's about, but I don't know. It's like, how far do you really, you create a separate category and it's like, how far does it really go? Do you know what I mean? Like, again, I have no problem with them, of course. It's just, how far are we really prepared to go after this separate category? I feel like they'll never be happy. Like, these people, they'll never be happy. They'll just go on to another issue, or they'll have an issue with a separate category. Well, look, they still had issue, or some of them still had issue with a separate category. So it's like, how far do you really want to go with this? Do you know, it's, I don't know. I don't know.
agreed with that position. I'm not about to sit here and be a phony and disagree with you now. Riley Gaines, I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you very, very much. Your arguments were very eloquent. I got very little pushback to provide. You know the one pushback that I had, but you explained that thoroughly, and I really appreciate it. Are you hoping to speak to Simone Biles soon?
Look, I would love it. In my response to her apology today, I concluded by saying, look, I welcome you to the fight. to support fair sports and a future for female athletes. I would love to have a discussion to further elaborate again the position that I have taken, the line that I have drawn in the sand, why I will never back down from that. Would love the opportunity to do so.
Okay. Well, there's always a place here for you anytime you want to discuss these issues. I'm not running or hiding from it, and I really thank you for your time. Thank you so much for coming on and explaining your position. I really appreciate it. And good luck with your show. Good luck with your podcast. I mean, you're doing good things with it. Keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. One and only Riley Gaines right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show.
Well, guys, look, I think that was a good interview. I think Shoni apologized because, like, which, you know what, I'm gonna say I'm happy the way the world is right now, because the fact that she got pushed back for saying some of this, because you know, this was a couple of years ago, you knew it would be the other way around, and it would be heavy the other way around, like, but the fact that she got more pushback than Riley got. Hey, look, at the end of the day, look, I know it's a sensitive topic, right? I know, right? Not to make light of it, but I think it just goes to show how different the world is right now, or I guess how sick people are of this, you know, this just being able just to attack someone and be mean to someone, but then claim to be inclusive and nice, and yeah. Can't believe we've been having this discussion. So proud of this young woman. Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying. It's not really a discussion per se, it's just, yeah. But guys, like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Let me know all your thoughts. If I can get my words out, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. For more videos like this, make sure you come back to the channel and subscribe, and we're out. Peace.